So guys, I hope you guys are good. So guys, I want to get straight into it. So guys, yesterday we obviously saw David Benavidez beat um Caleb Plant in a very very tough fight for Caleb. Caleb showed a lot of heart. Benavidez definitely showed, proved he's a lot better than what I gave him credit for. I think Benavidez is a good fighter. There's no doubt about it. He's proven that now against a very very tricky, good, solid operator like Caleb Plant. I think Caleb Plant has issues with his stamina, and I think Benavidez took advantage of that. I think first 4 or 5 rounds, it was quite clear that Caleb Plant was winning the rounds, and then Benavidez kind of took over. Benavidez showed that he's very strong, he's very fast, and he really put it on David Benavidez. He really did. He really put it on. Benavidez really put it on Caleb Plant. Obviously, Benavidez ended up winning the fight. He then called out Saul Alvarez, in a fight that I think a lot of people want to, or a lot of people would probably like to see. That would be an epic fight. And I'll be honest with you. Look, I'm a big Canelo fan, but I think Canelo now has no choice but to fight David Benavidez. I think he's in a position now where David Benavidez has proved his worth. I was criticizing David Benavidez's resume and say, look, he's not fought anybody, but now he beat Caleb Plant in good fashion. It's not like he got a controversial. No. I know people say, well, Canelo knocked Plant out. Yeah, I believe Canelo's a better fighter than David Benavidez, and hence why he knocked Plant out. But that aside, I think Canelo now has no leg to stand on in terms of he has to fight this guy. The only thing is that, a lot of people are going to slate Canelo, but Canelo wants to fight Dimitri Bivol, who I would say is a better fighter than David Benavidez. So you can't really criticize Canelo for fighting Dimitri Bivol over David Benavidez. But at the same time, if the Dimitri Bivol fight falls through and Canelo is looking to stay at 168, he has to fight David Benavidez. I'm sorry. There's no more excuse now. David Benavidez deserves that fight. He's owed that fight, like he said. He said, I don't think I should be chasing Canelo. I think I've been mandatory for so long. I think I'm owed that fight. And he is owed that fight now. I think Canelo Alvarez now would have to fight David Benavidez. I think now if Canelo Alvarez doesn't fight David Benavidez, he'd be criticized of ducking. So for me, I think the Dimitri Bivol fight, ideally, I don't even want to see him fight Dimitri Bivol. I want him to fight Benavidez. I think he beats Benavidez as well. To be honest with you, I think he beats Benavidez, and people are like, oh, well, Canelo's ducking from it. I mean, I saw enough yesterday from what Plant showed me, enough to give me full confidence that I think Canelo would beat David Benavidez. Some people think that, in the comment section, some people are coming at me and saying, no, Imran, Canelo gets beat by David Benavidez. We'll see when it happens, because it will happen. A lot of you people think Canelo's avoiding this, that, the other. Canelo will fight David Benavidez. There's no doubt in my mind. Canelo will have no choice by the end of his career to fight. If he fights long enough, he will fight David Benavidez. He's not going to avoid Benavidez. There's no reason to. I think the fight's too big. I think financially the fight's very lucrative. I think it makes a lot of sense for Canelo Alvarez. So why would he avoid a fight with David Benavidez? I mean, I don't think it's anywhere near as hard a fight as the Bivol fight stylistically. I think Benavidez is a guy that likes to come to you, and Canelo likes it when guys come to him. So I think that makes it even better for Canelo, because then Canelo can use his, tricky defense and then land huge counters. Now, Caleb Plant wasn't able to hurt Benavidez. I believe Canelo can. Canelo can hurt Benavidez. I think Canelo would go target that big frame, that body of his, and he'd go down and hit Benavidez hard in the body. And that would make a big dent. And people say, oh, well, Benavidez never gets tired. He never gets hurt. Well, he has been hurt. And he will get tired if he fights Canelo, because Canelo hits a lot harder than Caleb. And I don't think Benavidez hits that hard, because if he did, Plant would have been away. I know people say, well, Kenny Bayless was horrible. I don't think Kenny Bayless's performance was great, but I still don't think... I've seen Benavidez fight many fights before. I don't think Benavidez is a huge puncher. I think he's a cumulative puncher. I don't think he's as big a puncher as Canelo, one punch, knockout punch. He hasn't knocked anybody out with one punch. And I don't think he's ever knocked it. I think most of his shots are through accumulation. Where I've seen Canelo, on the other hand, hurt guys. you know, with one punch. Canelo's a very explosive fighter. Now, I've not seen Canelo hurt anybody, or I've seen him hurt Kovalev. I've seen him flatten Kovalev. I've seen him flatten Khan. I've flattened Kirkland. Canelo can punch. Canelo can definitely punch. He's not just that. It's not just the fact that he can punch. It's the element of surprise in the punch. It's the explosiveness of Canelo's punch, which can cause you a big problem. However, you would say this, that Canelo's power at 168, 175 isn't as effective as it is in the lower weight classes. Having said that, I still think stylistically, I think Benavidez is a much better fight for Canelo than Dimitri Bivol, because Dimitri Bivol for me is stylistically a nightmare for Canelo. I think he has more chance of beating Benavidez, and I would favor him to beat Benavidez. I don't favor him to beat Bivol. I don't favor Canelo to beat Bivol. I think Bivol is too tricky. He's too difficult a style for Canelo. I think he just gets behind that tricky defense. Bivol, he's got very fast feet. And that's going to be interesting because Benavidez hasn't got the greatest feet. Although I do think that he's a lot better. I think Benavidez is one of those guys, a bit like Joe Joyce, where he doesn't look that great, but actually he's a lot better than what he looks. I think Benavidez has got that bit of Joe Joyce about him, robotic. Although Joe Joyce is just slow all around, Benavidez actually got fast hands and he's quite sharp when he throws his punches. But I think Benavidez he doesn't look great. Technically, he doesn't look the best. But actually, when you get in there with him, he's a lot better than what he looks. And I think Joe Joyce fits into that category as well. I think Benavidez is one of those fighters that actually looks much better than what he looks on television. And I think he would give Canelo issues. I do. I think his size, if Canelo isn't able to get Benavidez out of there, Canelo isn't able to hurt Benavidez, Canelo could find some difficulty with Benavidez applying pressure, throwing a lot of punches. I think Benavidez is going to have to throw a lot of punches against Canelo. I think he's going to have to look to outwork Canelo, but I think he's got to also have to be wary of Canelo's counters, because I think Canelo has the power to hurt Benavidez. I think Canelo could break. I think Benavidez normally breaks his opponents down. I think Canelo could break down Benavidez. So I think Benavidez is going to have to watch out for that, because Canelo isn't your average. He isn't your average Joe. He hits very hard. He's got very good IQ. He's got very good defense. He's just for me, Canelo's a complete fighter. I know people will say, well, he got beat by Bivol, but Bivol's also a complete fighter and a much bigger fighter at that. I don't believe David Benavidez. I think David Benavidez showed yesterday that he's a lot better boxer than what I give him credit for, because his defense was much better. Although he gets hit a lot, I think his defense was better than what I've seen it previously. I do think he's an evolving fighter. I do think he's a fighter that's getting better, Benavidez. So I think Benavidez is right. The longer he waits, the better I'm going to get. So for Canelo, it's probably best for him to fight me now, and probably is because Canelo's old as well. So obviously the longer Canelo waits, Canelo's not getting any younger. He's only getting older. And Benavidez is getting he's becoming more ripe, more in his prime. Whereas Canelo's only going to get older. He's going to get more past his prime. Some people think already Canelo's past his prime. So the time doesn't really favor Canelo. Time favors Benavidez because he's young. He's 25, 26, wherever he is. So Benavidez is heading towards his prime, where Canelo is heading out of his prime. So the longer Canelo waits, I think the more it's going to favor Benavidez. And like I said, I'm seeing improvement in Benavidez's boxing. So that's, again, is going to benefit Benavidez. So I think Benavidez needs to make sure that, not Benavidez, Canelo needs to make sure that he gets the fight on as soon as possible. I don't think there'll be any negotiation issues. I think Benavidez will accept that he's the B-side in here. I think Benavidez just wants to fight Canelo. I don't think he's gonna get involved in trying to price himself out the fight or any of that. I don't think Benavidez is that type. I think he just wants to fight. So I think it's a great fight. Honestly, I think it's a great fight. And before I was saying, well, Benavidez hasn't fought anybody. Now that's changed. And I did say that. I will say that. I did say that Benavidez beats Plant in good fashion. I will come out and say, look, Canelo needs to fight him. And I think after Bivol now, I think Canelo now, this has become a fight that he has to take now. It's become a legacy-defining fight for Canelo as well. I think it's a fight that if Canelo does avoid and doesn't fight, that will be an asterisk near Canelo's name that he didn't fight Benavidez. I believe that's how big this fight has become. I think Canelo now has to take this fight, and I believe Canelo will take this fight because I think it's so big, financially so lucrative, and I think Canelo gets a lot of credit for beating Benavidez now. And I don't think it's as tough as fight. I don't think it's as tough as fight as some of the guys that, Canelo's mentioning, like your Beterbievs, your Bivols. I think those are much tougher fights. So yeah, it's a fight that I would like. What do you guys think? Who do you think wins the fight? What do you make of Benavidez calling out Canelo? Leave your thoughts. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.